point is that the climate change hysteria, what it represents is a complete transformation of the economic model of the world. This is a point that's come up a number of times in my conversations with Patrick Wood, who points to, I believe it was Christina Figueres, who was at the time the charge of the UN FCCC or one of the UN committees. She was talking openly about how we have set ourselves the task of transforming the global economic model of the world. And they're serious about this. They are truly transforming the entire economy towards what I've talked about with Patrick Wood and in Why Big Oil Conquered the World and other work besides, the new technocratic vision of an economy that is modeled on energy credits, carbon rations. This is the model for the future. It's probably going to be backed up by natural resources, by which we mean, of course, that the oligarchs are going to consolidate the use of those resources for themselves. The peons will get to live in highly centralized, tightly controlled urban spaces where they're allowed a certain amount of carbon rations, allowed a certain amount of food, allowed a certain amount to live. And that, of course, will decrease and decrease. That is the vision of the future. That is how this is being set up. Between here and there is absolutely going to be an economic crisis. You cannot bring in that new economic world order without destroying the old economic world order. Of course, it's going to be a controlled demolition, as it always is. And again, the smart money is positioning itself for that transition. An exceptionally important topic. If you want more, please do go back. Yes, thank you for bringing this up, because I know it comes up every time when I'm talking about climate change and the climate change scam, that people always say, well, what, you don't care about the Earth at all? That is the controlled paradigm that they're getting us to operate in. They're giving us the little window that if you care about the Earth, you care about CO2, and that's it. And that's the only issue. And if you don't concentrate on that, or if you poo-poo that, then you hate the Earth. Sorry, that is a false dialectic, of course, that's been constructed to keep our minds in the box, in the paradigm. I did a podcast on this way back, a decade ago, more, on environmentalism is corporate controlled, that specifically made this point, and corporate hijacked environmental movement that is best represented by groups like the WWF and many others besides, that are literally founded, funded, and propagated and promoted by the oligarchs and eugenicists themselves, the royal family, and all of those admitted, open, card-carrying eugenicists back in the day who set up all of these conservatories and all of this conservation groups, were 100% are steering things towards, this is all about setting up the new carbon economy that they'll get their $100 trillion swindle from. It has nothing to do with saving the Earth, which is why these groups do not concentrate or ever ask you to think about genetic engineering, literally changing the biome, the genome of the planet itself, and doing this open air experimentation of, hey, let's just, we'll change a few genes around here, a few genes around there, some transgenic species, and we're like, oops, it got out into the wild, now there's nothing we can do to bring it back. This is insanity, and environmental groups never talk about this. It's always carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide. Think about the geoengineering in the skies. Think about all the other things. We could add 5G and other things to that list now. Again, environmental harm from that? Who cares? The only environmental harm you have to think about is CO2. I don't even care if you are a CO2 scam believer, if you believe in that ridiculous hoax. At the very least, perhaps you could save a little bit of your concern for some other things in the environment, like the GMO issue, like the 5G, like geoengineering. How about some of the intention on those things as well? I think that would be a good way to do that, don't you think? Again, I tend to think the people who don't care about the Earth are the people who only concentrate on the CO2 issue that they've been told by the mainstream press, no less, to concentrate on. I wonder if there's some sort of trick going on here. Anyway, I'm not directing scorn or derision at you, Troy. I do appreciate the question. I know it's one that a lot of people have, but that's the point. They want to keep you in that paradigm, and the best way to do it is to say, if you care about the Earth, you care about CO2, and that's it. And anything outside of that spectrum is not allowed. It's garbage, it's nonsense, and it's how they're keeping us back. All right,